Janavallabha Girivardhari Janavallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari It's bigger. Hers is fatter. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari. You don't have a camera though, no camera. Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari 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 Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtota Sadashri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Shri Nitai Sachi Sutta Ki Shri Jagannath Baladev Shabhadra Ki Shri Radha Paraseshwar Ki Kvantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gaura Premanandi. All glorious to the assembled devotees. All glorious to the assembled devotees. All glorious to the assembled devotees. All glorious to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glorious to Sri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Vacharine Nevasesha Sanyamari Pastachare Shatarine. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, what time do you have to leave? Now? In 15 minutes. 15 minutes, okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
We're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 7. What number verse?
23.
23. Gunamaya.
Gunamaya.
Is that right? Is that on the board? Svashaktyasya.
Svashaktasya.
Sargastiti.
Sargasiti.
Apyayan.
Apyayan.
Vibhoha.
Vibho.
Tatse.
Tatse.
Yada.
Yada.
Svadrik.
Svadik.
Bhuman.
Bhuman.
Brahma Vishnu.
Brahma Vishnu.
Shiva Bidam.
Shiva Vidam.
Gunamaya Svashaktyasya.
Gunamaya Svasaktasya.
Sargastitya Pyayan Vibho.
Sargasiti Apyayan Vibho.
Tatse Yada Svadrik Bhuman.
Tatse Yada Swadrik Bhuman.
Brahma Vishnu Shiva Bidam.
Brahma Vishnu Shiva Vidam.
Gunamaya Svashaktyasya.
Gunamaya Svashaktasya.
Sargastitya Pyayan Vibho.
Sargasiti Apyayan Vibho.
Tatse Yada Svadrik Bhuman.
Tatse Yada Swadrik Bhuman.
Brahma Vishnu Shiva Bidam.
Brahma Vishnu Shiva Vidam.
Gunamaya Svashaktyasya.
Gunmaya Svasaktasya.
Sargastitya Pyayan Vibho.
Sargasiti Apyayan Vibho.
Tatse Yada Svadrik Bhuman.
Tatse Yada Swadrik Bhuman.
Brahma Vishnu Shiva Bidam.
Brahma Vishnu Shiva Vidam.
Gunamaya Svashaktyasya.
Gunamaya Svashaktyasya.
Sargastiti Apyayan Vibho.
Sargastitya Pyayan Vibho.
Datse Yada Svadrik Bhuman.
Tatse Yada Svadrik Bhuman.
Brahma Vishnu Shiva Vidam.
Brahma Vishnu Shiva Bidam.
Gunmaya Swasaktasya.
Gunamaya Svashaktasya.
Sargastiti Apyayan Vibho.
Sargastitya Pyayan Vibho.
Daste Yada Swadar Bhuman.
Tatse Yada Svadrik Bhuman.
Brahma Vishnu Shiva Bidam.
Brahma Vishnu Shiva Bidam. Gunamaya. Acting in the three modes of activity.
Acting in the three modes of activity.
Svashaktya.
Svashaktya.
By the external energy
By the external energy
of your lordship.
of your lordship.
Asya.
Asya.
Of this material world.
Of this material world.
Sargastiti Apyayan.
Sargasiti Apyayan.
Creation,
Creation.
maintenance,
Maintenance.
and annihilation.
Annihilation.
Vibhoha.
Vibho.
O Lord.
O Lord.
Datse.
That's it.
You execute.
You execute.
Yada.
Yada.
When.
When.
When. Svadrik.
Swadrik.
You manifest yourself.
You manifest yourself.
Bhuman.
Bhuman.
O Great One.
O Great One.
Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Adidam.
Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Abhidhamma.
As Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu,
Lord Vishnu,
or Lord Shiva.
O Lord Shiva.
So, we're carrying on here with, now who's speaking? Now the Prajapatis are speaking, is it? Yeah, the Prajapatis are speaking. Different personalities sometimes are speaking here amongst the demigods. So now we have the Prajapatis, and they're saying in English, that is. They're not saying in English, they probably said it in Sanskrit, but here they're saying it in English. O Lord, you are self-effulgent and supreme. You create this material world by your personal energy, and you assume the names Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwar when you act in creation, maintenance, and annihilation. Purport. It's not a very long purport. We may go on, I don't know. Let's see. This prayer is actually offered to Lord Vishnu, the Purusha, who in his incarnations as the Guna avatars assumes the names Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwar. Now this is interesting in the sense that this prayer is offered to Lord Vishnu, but it seems to indicate that Lord Vishnu is someone other than Vishnu. Or not other than, but, you know, for Vishnu, when he, in his incarnations, as the guna avatars, assumes the names Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. The same personality. He assumes these various names, and he takes on the name of Vishnu also, in that role of within the material creation. But the actual Vishnu himself, the Mahavishnu, is beyond, in one sense, the material nature. They're all beyond the material nature in one sense, but acting within it. Lord Vishnu is, in his original form, you could say, is the creative factor of the pradhana and prakriti, etc. Gunas, modes of nature. So to say, not just to manifest that energy, and not only just to provide a facility for the purpose of this is, of course, to facilitate the jivas. The purpose of the material energy is not necessarily just like a prison house in terms of, you know, what it is, but it's not just that. It's to facilitate the jiva's desires. You could say that about a prison house indirectly also. It's to facilitate the errant citizens, and those who are opposed to the rule of the state. So it's basically, it is like that. That is to provide a facility to give an opportunity. You may provide a facility for your children. Mataji, what was your name again?
Divya.
Divya, that's right, Divya. So Divya, you have children, they're grown up, okay. So when they were younger, now you've let them go, they're free. But you may have provided facilities for them to satisfy their desires at a certain time. They're kind of probably trying to satisfy them without your necessary involvement. But at certain points of a child's life, the child wants something, it cannot facilitate it. Is that correct? It may want a toy, or it may want to go somewhere, but it cannot have it on its own, right? The parents have to provide or arrange. And they appeal to the parents, please give me this, please give me this, please give me this. And sometimes the parents give them this, and sometimes they don't. They arrange another facility for their benefit. Maybe a kindergarten, later on a school. The child may or may not like it, but the parents make that arrangement. So the living entity is, in a sense, spoiled children we are. Krishna has provided this facility. I want. So he provided a facility suitable for the I want of the foolish jiva, who's misusing his individuality or his free will, so to speak. But at the same time, the Lord doesn't just say goodbye forevermore. Good riddance. You weren't worth having anyway. Rot. No, he doesn't do that. Some people use that as a technique to threaten, or to, some point of time you have to use threats. Sometimes the parent uses a threat, right? If you don't do this, then you're gonna, some horrible thing or something's gonna happen to you. Sometimes the parents may use that as a threat, but that's not the main point of it all. Surrender or rot, go to hell or something. That may sometimes be used, but it's not the ultimate purpose of it all. It's to reform. It's to give the living entities, one, a chance to, let's say, try to fulfill their childlike desires to enjoy separately from their parents. I'm not. If you had kids, sometimes they don't get what they want, then quite often they throw a tantrum, don't they? Maybe you did, maybe you can remember, I don't know. But quite often they throw a tantrum. You know this word, tantrum?
Oh, so,
Tantrum, you know tantrum?
yes.
What is it?
Oh, when the kid creates chaos.
Okay, they go wild, they go bananas, they go crazy.
Yeah.
They have it go in a fit, screaming and shouting and hollering, maybe smashing things, or maybe threatening themselves. I'm leaving, I'm going, I'm not coming back. I'm out of here. As the parents know, they won't last long. They sometimes go in their room, slam the door, put a sign on, trespassers will be killed, or, warned, whatever. They go into a fit of frustrated fit of anger. Well, adults do the same thing, believe it or not, don't they? They don't get what they want, they get disturbed. Maybe in slightly more refined ways, maybe not. They may kill you if they don't get what they want. They go even worse. They'll kill a nation practically if they don't get what they want. They fight. Selfish mentality, this childlike mentality. We have this selfish mentality of wanting to see ourselves as God, in a sense, in the center, as the enjoyer. Why is God always in the center? Why is this Krishna always in the center? What about me? What about me? I'm the most important thing that exists, What about me? What am I getting out of this? What do I get from this? Just serving? I get it. So when a living entity feels a little bit, wants to enjoy itself separately from Krishna, then you can't do that in the spiritual world. Unless you want to be Brahmajyoti, but that's something else. But in the spiritual planets, there's no such personality trying to enjoy separately from Krishna. It doesn't exist. Even the dust is not enjoying separately from Krishna. Everything is in relationship with Krishna. Of course, everything in the material world is in relationship with Krishna, but we don't see it like that. We see it in relationship to ourselves. So Krishna provides a facility where we can see things in relationship to ourselves, whatever mode of nature we're in, whether we're a demigod or a demon. Everyone's, to different degrees, are seeing everything in relationship to themselves. And to some degree, if one's a little bit more in the mode of goodness, a little bit spiritually inclined, one may start to see things a little bit in relationship with Krishna, but still a lot in relationship to me. And that will, of course, hopefully transform as one progresses in spiritual life. Beginning stages, devotees are like spoilt children. You've got to pamper them and praise them and facilitate. All of us, we're all like that. And tolerate like anything. Because we're not so advanced, we're not so pure, seeing Krishna's hand working in everything, and which is the goal behind it all, is to come to understand Krishna's hand behind everything. So the pure devotees, they act in this world to try to help us to transform our perception away from seeing ourselves in the center. They give us all kinds of activities which try to achieve both those things, just like Krishna gives the material world to both facilitate and reform. So the pure devotees give facility, like do this, do this, do this, do this. Not entirely according to our spoilt desires, just like a parent doesn't just give, 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 give. Sometimes there's a restriction and you have to do something different. Mom, I want to play. My mates want to go out and play. We want to go and, play something, football or some sport. No, it's time for homework. No, Mom. No, you can go and play football between 5 and 6. After 6, you've got to do your homework. No. There's some restriction. The child doesn't want to be restricted. We want to play all the time. But the parents, no. So it's not just a play field, the material. Of course, it's not a very nice play field in one sense. But it's not just a play field. They want to play games. Now they want to play different type of games. What's this? do they call it gaming on the mobile? Yes. All these games that the kids watch.
Games.
What is?
Smartphone games, yeah.
Different games.
Yeah.
They're addicted. Many kids are addicted, right? Absolutely addicted. You can hardly get them off even you put them to bed, they'll wait till you close the door and they open their eyes and they start playing games again on their mobile. They're addicted. Absolutely addicted. Zombies. So, they may be addicted to some other kind of playing. But the parents try to give a restriction. No, you can only go watch TV between 6 and 7, finished. After that, you can't. Restrictions there. So the restrictions are there in the material world. Now, people may not want to follow them. And they get in trouble, of course, if they don't. But the restrictions are there. So the material world has rules as well, God-given rules. For naughty children, you can't just expect them to be 100% there. So there's some restriction, just like a drug addict. I can't imagine any of you here in this room were ever drug addicts. But maybe sometimes you see there are many drug addicts around in Paris. Many alcoholic addicts too, right? People who are addicted to alcohol. Cigarettes, that's probably the hardest one of all, believe it or not. Probably harder than heroin to give up for men in many ways. It's incredibly addictive. And many other things. Coffee is another one. Very hard to give up. So many devotees have a problem with coffee. So many. Hopefully no one here, but so many do. I mean, problem or not problem, but they have this strong inclination, or tea, for some people tea, I don't know. I don't think it's as strong as coffee. Coffee has a more of a effective, addictive aspect, I think. But there's many things people get addicted to. It could be something less serious, or let's say dangerous. It could be addiction to music of a certain kind. It could be an addiction to a particular kind of material, dress, or whatever it may be, or sport, or some activity, or something or another. Some kind of addiction is there. To transform that to an addiction to Krishna it takes a little while. And it takes, sometimes, as we said, Prabhupada engaging. One time he said, because you can't chant Hare Krishna all the time, I have to think of so many things to give you to keep you out of trouble. Wash the pots, clean it out, open temples, do this, do that. Of course, they're all in the line of devotional service, but ultimately, chanting Hare Krishna is everything. Well, we can't do that. But so you utilize that inability to do the absolute activity, you could say, by engaging our senses and our minds in so many different activities, although we're still fruitive, although we're still aspiring for some recognition, we're still attached. Bhagavad Gita is directed towards that, isn't it? It's all directed towards that. Towards bringing the conditioned living entity, depending on their conditioning, to the point of pure devotional service. And when it's at the point of pure devotional service, the activity one performs doesn't really matter. One may have to act as long as one's in this material world, but it's all the same in one sense. One will utilize whatever facilities Krishna has given one accordingly, obviously. Even pure devotees have a facility given to them by the Lord, but they utilize it. They're not attached or dependent upon it. But the conditioned soul is dependent upon their facility. They're dependent on their psychophysical, karmic gift of God, this body, and they should utilize it according to its nature in general, and not try to imitate someone else who has a different psychophysical condition, or someone else who's more advanced in spiritual life and is not depending upon it. You know what I mean? They're not depending on that. Even if they're taking it like Haridas Thakur said, you can cut my body into millions of pieces, it makes no difference to me whatsoever. You can do what you like. Pure devotees, they're like that. They're not affected, but we are. We're still dependent upon that. We're not just dependent on, we're attached to it. We're attached to it. To different degrees, no doubt. depending on the modes of nature which are predominantly influencing us. And that we see at different times. Sometimes we're more attached, less attached. Different things happen in our life, we feel a little detachment, and again the modes of nature move and we feel somewhat different. Again we become attached, and so on. So becoming more attached. The whole structure of the material universe is meant to help the living entity to become, again, attached to Krishna. But it may take millions and billions of lifetimes before that dawns upon us, or that we digest it or accept it and act in such a way as to develop it. So devotees are always trying to help others to develop it, but most people, even ourselves, we are sometimes so distant from pure devotional service. We may speak about it, but in reality the realization or the actual state of consciousness is not completely in line with it. Have a good day, Jiva Pram Prabhu. Bonjour.
Sorry, I am addicted to work, so I have to do.
Yeah, we're all addicted to work. I'm going to be working in the basement today with all the stock, because we've got to make orders in the next few days if we need anything for the marathon, and we've got to know what we've got.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Sorry for not doing
But well, you're sorry for giving me the opportunity to do some service. You should be thankful.
But it should have been done before.
No, because no one else has experience. It's not just organizing the books, it's knowing which books we need to know, need to know that we need. We've been doing it for 52 years, you get kind of a bit of an idea what works, You've never done it before, so you won't have that. It's a detail of work. If I have to do what you do, I have to start from scratch. I don't know anything. You know what I mean? So it's normal. We're getting ready for the marathon. We just wanted Mananda or somebody can help me at least this morning, and we'll try to organize things so we know what we've got, we know what we need, and we know, etc., etc. So have a great day at work. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Jai Prabhupada. So amazing. So the Lord expands himself in various ways to facilitate these various things. As Shiva, and in this universe, Garbhadakshay, Shivadakshay, Vishnu, he accompanies the living entity in the heart, guiding the living entities both according to their desire and according to arranging facilities to try to help them to wake up, to come back to their real senses, so to speak. So just like the parent with a child. So Krishna, and the same thing even in society, it's not only the parent, the teacher, it's the expansion of the same principle. Everyone, all the adults basically, are supposed to be helping the child to mature. Isn't it? I mean, the rules for the little kid are different from the rules for the kid at this stage and the kid at that stage. At different stages, there are different expectations, different rules, different punishments if you break the rules are there. A 5-year-old kid or a 3-year-old kid comes into your room and next to a neighbor's room and steals an apple without your knowledge, right? Or something, whatever it likes, right? It may be even money, it doesn't know what its value is. It sees its mum and dad taking money and moving money around. It may think, oh, maybe it's, you never know. It could try to take anything it can. Right? What do? You call the police? Do you call the police? He does. Thief! Thief! And they take the kid to court. What have you got to say in your defense? You were caught stealing an apple. What have you got to say in your defense? This is not the first time, young boy. This is the third time. This is a serious offense. 10 years in prison. I mean, obviously, it's a whole different game, isn't it? But when you're mature, whatever age that's supposed to be, it's another one of those arbitrary lines. If you're 17 years old, 364 days, 23 hours and 59 minutes and 59 seconds, you're on that side of the fence, and if you're 1 second later, you're on that side of the fence. It's another arbitrary figure, isn't it? It's very fine lines we draw. What to do, that's the relative world. It's one of those things according to karma, that's how it works. So, different rules, and then different forms of reform are imposed, yeah? You don't put a little kid, maybe an adult has to go into hard labor, what do they call it? Forced labor, smashing rocks or doing some heavy work or something. They used to, I don't know if they still do. They used to do that with adults who, committed serious crimes. You don't do that with a little kid. It'd be a different thing altogether. So both things are there. It's like, in an immature stage, animals and immature humans. It's kind of a different situation, but matured humans, so-called civilized humans, are supposed to know better. So there are rules. There are no real rules for the low ones. They're the mode of ignorance, They're the mode of ignorance. What is the rule for an animal? Maybe it gets a beating if it does something against, the overall situation. But otherwise it's just following its nature. There's no karmic follow-up from what it does. But in the human life there's a karmic follow-up there. So that's another arrangement which the Lord makes in this mature world of the modes of nature, the karma, and through the various demigods and through these various energies. All this is arranged, both facilitating the living entity's desires, giving the living entity necessary punishment and rewards. As we see in society, these things are going on also on the day-to-day life, and at the same time, opportunity to reform, at least in the human form of life. At least that much. So the Lord expands as Brahma to create this facility. He expands himself to guide the living entities in their sojourn in this facility. And this Chaitya Guru, the Lord is in the heart. Also, most people have that experience in the human life at certain points of time, either in dream or in daytime. They have some kind of, they call it intuition or something or another inside. This is wrong. What you're doing is wrong. You feel kind of inside, you're almost like heart pumping inside, but you're forced by lust, you're going to do it anyway. Against there's like almost an inner voice telling you don't do it. But we're driven by our lust, our independent, selfish lust, to act in such and such a way, and we get in trouble. Just like a child, a prisoner probably say, what we see in the Bhagavad, what's that nice verse again? It slipped my mind. Oh my goodness. Anyway, it slipped my mind. Although sufficiently experienced still. In other words, we've done it, and we know it's wrong, we do it again, we get in trouble again, although we have sufficient experience, we even know that happened last time, but we do it again. It goes on and on like this, doesn't it? And sufficiently experienced. And we see the experience of others too. That he stole, he got punished. So if I steal, probably I'll get punished too. So why should I steal? So there's a bit of a deterrent factor involved there. There's supposed to be. If there's no punishment whatsoever, it's like in the animal species, only when it's interacting with human beings there's a punishment. But amongst themselves there's no direct punishment. If a lion pounces upon a deer and just rips it to pieces, there's not like, you murdered the deer. There's no court there, there's no kind of like, even if a lion kills a lion, of course the other lions may fight against it, that's just like that, but there's no official law there, there's no such thing, It just goes on. I mean, if you look at the lower species of life, it's jivosya jivasya jivan, and one species is just eating the other all the time. There's no thought about right or wrong. There's no thought about, the benefits or what, there's no compassion involved whatsoever. None. It doesn't exist, practically. Human life is supposed to be a little bit of maturity, of not just understanding rights and wrongs, but also of consciousness. Awareness of not just, anamoya, just thinking in terms of eating, which is the lower species of life. And unfortunately, many humans are not much above anamoya, just experiencing the goal. Everything's focused around maintenance, which means basically eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Mostly everyone's on that platform. A little bit more advanced is like the awareness of the say, sensitivity towards others, and how what I do affects others. So in the human form of life, that's supposed to be there, And that's why guidance is there to realize you're not the only thing that exists on the planet, or in the universe. So that type of guidance in human form of life is there, and that's why scriptures are there. And for different people in different levels, also there are different rules. That's why Varnashram is there to also facilitate. And even those outside the antigens, there's also facilitation there for their at least getting the opportunity to take a more civilized human birth in the future, not just fall straight back down to the animal species or whatever. So it's there to give guidance, and then one follows the lines according to the situation one's in, and not imitating someone who may be a little bit more advanced or influenced by the modes of nature differently. We've got to know what the rules are according to our conditioning. That's all given in the scriptures. Anyway, the whole material universe is geared for this reason, to give the living entity this opportunity for liberation ultimately, not just to become perpetually bound up in the modes of nature. And always the living entity is trying to improve its situation. Even in the modes of ignorance, the living entity tries to improve what it considers to be what's for its benefit. The beggar on the street, they'll fight over, a square inch on the floor sometimes. And that's my space. Get out of here. Maybe for whatever reason. Or that's my penny. They say pauper. Pauper means a poor person is proud of their penny. They're also attached. What to speak of people, richer people who think they're controllers, they go crazy. They'll shoot you sometimes if you enter their garden. You know that? There's some places, that they actually shoot at you if you enter their garden. In America, I think they can do that. Of course, trespassing is an offense in one sense, but who is the real proprietor? We're all trespassers. We're all trespassers. Everything belongs. So we're supposed to learn that in the human form of life. But people are very attached and very proud of their possessions, whatever they think they've got. The real advanced stage, of course, is, we could give the example of Bali Maharaj and Vindhyavali, his wife. How Vindhyavali was, Bali Maharaj, as you know, had given everything away to Vamanadev. Everything, and not just the kingdom, but all of that which was in the kingdom. And eventually he gave his own body, of course. He'd given everything away. The Pandavas, they basically gave everything away also when they were, in the court of the Kauravas. They were obligated. They gave their own wife, practically speaking. Well, it was, of course, didn't happen. The Kauravas were demanding it, but it didn't happen. But basically everything became, they had no property. Only their own bodies, basically. Everything else was lost. So Vindhyavali was, we'd expect her as the wife without even being consulted, but you could say, would have been very disturbed by this. Extremely disturbed. You'd expect that. Normal situation is only normal. If the wife comes home, she's gone shopping or something, she comes back home and there's nothing there. The husband's given the house away, the car away, the pots and pans, all of your saris. Everything's been given away, all of her shoes, and then he takes the shopping basket and gives that away as well. He's given everything away. You probably wouldn't be very enthusiastic about, his behavior. You'd probably be very disturbed. Vindhyavali was disturbed in a different way. Prabhupada talks about it. Not only writes about it, but he talks about it, how Vindhyavali, the wife of Bali Maharaj, chastised her husband, but for the reason you'd not expect. Normally she'd chastise out of attachment. What the heck are you doing? You're a fool. Normally that's the normal response. And her response was very different. Her response was, you fool. She called him a fool. You are still proud. You are proud of possessing. Now you're proud of giving up those things which you possessed. You fulfilled your 3 promises, but you're proud of it. You're still the same fool that you were before. When will you realize you never had anything to possess or to give up in the first place? When will you come to that platform? So Prabhupada says she was far more advanced than Bali Maharaj. She realized well, Bali Maharaj was playing a part, she's playing a part. We understand that. Bali Maharaj is not an idiot. He's an eternal associate of the Lord playing a part. But from the point of view of what part he's playing, it's not such an advanced part as normally said. Although he's the Acharya of Atma-nivedana in one sense. But this stage is way beyond that. That's just the Bhagavad Gita brings us to that point. Surrender everything. But then there's a higher stages are there. So you have to go through the stages. So Bali Maharaj is teaching the most important principle there of at least offering, even if we are attached, you offer everything to Krishna. Let go. Give everything. There's the higher stage talk, a higher stage, many levels. But Vinjab is teaching a higher stage in terms of realization. But for the sake of others, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, even if you are on that platform, you still act for the sake of teaching others to do it in a way that they can gradually become detached. Otherwise they're just karma, and vikarma in most cases is there. So they try to engage people in a little bit of, karma yoga, not just karma. Karma may elevate you to the heavens, but karma yoga, where you can gradually become connected, knowingly or unknowingly, to Krishna. And karma mishra bhakti, where you engage in a devotion to Krishna, but it's still tinged with desire for recognition or desire for facility, desire for enjoyments of various kinds. So step by step, the pure devotees try to engage us to move forward in our progress to waking up, to help to wake us up. So the Lord expands in various ways for this purpose. He expands the Shakti of Aish avatar you could say in the presence of his representatives. He expands in various avatars for various purposes, for all these various reasons. And even in the creation, maintenance, and destruction of this facility, he expands here into let's say the creative potency is not that of an ordinary jiva. That is Vishnu. Vishnu, through that particular jiva, if Brahma is a jiva, sometimes Vishnu himself takes that role. But otherwise it's the creative potency, Lord Vishnu's creative potency, which is manifesting through Brahma in order for him to engineer the universe. Lord Shiva is a little different expansion of the Lord, we know that, but it still ultimately is Krishna's potency transformed in the form of Lord Shiva for destructive purposes. And maintenance of the universe, of course, is Vishnu's personal expansion. No one else can do that. Be in everyone's heart, guiding all the living entities, etc., etc. Sustaining the universes in that form. Okay, I'm going to finish there. Lord Vishnu is the master of all. What was I reading this morning? I read an amazing commentary this morning. I can't remember the details the first time I've read it, so I can't remember. Quoting from Harivamsa, how Lord Vishnu is the Lord of Shiva, Keshava. That's it, Keshava. I think it's Lord Shiva speaking or something. How K refers to Lord Brahma and Keshava is Lord Shiva. So you are the master of both myself and Lord Brahma. The word Keshava has every word has many different meanings, Krishna's names. So he's the master of all three. Although people in the material world can't see that. When you're under the water, you can't see what's above the water. So people who are under the water, or let's say completely conditioned in this world, just see all three of them. Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu, they don't see anything beyond that. The most they think of freedom from the material world, liberation, and then there's nothing. They can't see what the source is beyond the material world. When you look at a tree, can you see what its source is? When you look at a tree, can you see what the source of the tree is? Not really. I mean, if you know the science, of course, you can analyze and understand, but if you don't, you wouldn't have no idea. that tree has come from a little seed. No idea. Child has no idea whatsoever. So people have no idea where this is all coming from, material energy, creation, etc. They think it's either chance or it's ever existed, it's never had a beginning. There's no creation, although everything they see around them has a beginning and an end. The universe doesn't. It's understandable. That's, in one sense, probably a little bit more advanced philosophy than chance, that's for sure. That there is no beginning or end. Others say it doesn't exist at all. It's a total illusion. It has no existence whatsoever. Whatever it may be, but different philosophies are there. But basically, we have no ability to understand what the cause is. No. We're within it. You're stuck inside it. You can't see outside of it. You've got to be outside of it to be able to see how it came about. The pure devotees who come within it, they're actually outside of it. We're in the world, as Krishna, as Lord Jesus says, but we're not of it. So they can see what's going on. Have you ever been in a maze? You know, a maze, I don't know if you know that word. You know what a maze is? What is it?
Means like you have obstruction to cross through each.
Yeah, it's a very complex situation. They have in amusement parks, or even in parks themselves, they sometimes have mazes. I don't know if they have them in France, but in England they used to be quite common. We used to love going in the maze. It was one of our favourite things. You could get lost there all day long. You couldn't get out. It's like, you know, have you seen these? Maybe the fences, it's not a fence, it's bushes. They used to thick bushes, you can't see through them, they're thick. Maybe 8-10 foot high bushes. And you can't see what's at the end until you get there, you know, it's impossible to see. So, or maybe you can see there's an exit on the left side, so you go down there and then that one goes to a dead end and you have to go all the way back again and take another one and then this one. You can be there all day long. There's some joy there. There's like a refreshment stall in the middle of one of the, you know, cross paths or something, and, you know, something here and there just to make it fun. And it might take you hours to get out of there. Everyone's walking in different directions. Which way did you go? I went that way. Oh, it was a dead end. Which way you go? I don't know. Forgotten. They all look the same. You know, you're going around in circles all day long. It's kind of fun. It's a kind of an interesting thing, because eventually you get your way out, or someone helps you out. But it's like that. You can't see where you're going. But somebody who's above the maze, they can work it out. It maybe takes a little while, but they can work out. Oh, you should have turned right, not left. You could have, you know, they can see. You see, and they may give you guidance if you listen to them. So that's like the pure devotees. They come in this world, they give us guidance, and if we listen to them, we can gradually get it. It takes time, but you can gradually get out. They see where you are, and they give you instructions to move from where you are to the next stage. Now you turn left. Now you're on a different road. And then it's slightly different instructions. It's a science of ultimately devotional service at different levels on the path, step by step. Finding out where we're at. It's like if someone phones you up to come to the temple here. Hello. Can you tell me how to get to the temple? What's the first thing you're going to ask?
Where are you?
Where are you? It's the first thing. Well, where are you? I don't know. But it's pretty difficult to give you instructions. First thing is you have to find out where you are, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, how can we give you instructions? And most people are thinking they're somewhere where they're not. I'm more advanced than I am. It doesn't work very well, does it? You chant 64 rounds a day, okay? Read the, you know, Bhagavad Gita over and over again, or whatever it is. You can't do it. You cannot do it. Nothing's impossible, but from a relative point of view, you can't do it. You can be very, very surrendered and very determined. Nothing's impossible, but in normal, general straightforwardness, you can't do it. You've got to do what you can do, but do it in relationship with Krishna. That's the idea. just like you do with a kid. You don't smack your kid because it spills its breath, to a 1-year-old baby, he's stool in its pants, and food everywhere, except for its mouth. Right? It's all over its clothes, all over its face, everywhere. You can't work it out, You don't get angry. Oh, poor child, You pick the child up and help it. You don't punish the child. So different stages like that, what is appropriate. Some people are not ready to give up these things. Simple as that. They're not ready for it. Most people. So what do? Condemn them? Threaten them? You can try that, but it doesn't really work very well. And engage them. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, although their works may be inferior, you should engage them in activities, works of devotion, in a way which will gradually come to devotional service, whatever way we can. We're so small, we're struggling ourselves where we're at, what to speak of help others. But that's basically the principle of society, to try to help elevate everyone, at least not just humans, also animals in a society which is geared like that. They also get a fast track advancement. I'd like I was with. Oh yeah, I was with one devotee 2 days ago. Nice devotee. And they have a pet dog. They used to work with dogs. That was their job before. They looked after a dog home. So they're very attached to dogs, They have a pet dog. He's 21 years old. Pretty old for a dog. And he's only eaten prasadam his whole life. More, maybe things when it went out. But in the house, it's only eaten prasadam anyway. So it's a great fortune. Dogs heard maybe even more Maha mantras than you have. No offense either. Right? Obviously that dog is, you could say it's not by chance it happened to be the dog in the house of a devotee, But that way it becomes elevated, and you could go on and on and on how a devotee elevates all species of life on their gradual progress back to Godhead, so to speak. It's the whole process of, the whole life of a devotee is geared towards that. And they're very, like Prabhupada said, don't think of, in the very beginning he said, don't even talk about the rules and regulations, just try to get them to chant. Everything's so complicated in Kali Yuga. Although we're speaking a bit here of Varnashrama thoughts, but it's so complicated. Such a mess. But somehow they get people to chant Krishna's name, somehow or another. No, but if they're drunk, if they're a murderer, if they're whatever they are, try to get them to chant. You can't expect. Ourselves are struggling enough. For people in general, it's kind of like it's not even part of their agenda to even. It's just not on their radar. Krishna consciousness is just not on their radar, isn't it? It's like you go on the radio or something. What do they call it? Wavelengths. It's just not on their wavelengths. It's just not there. No matter how you tune it, it's not on there. It's outside of their wavelengths. So somehow or another, you've got to somehow or another plant it in there somehow or another in their own wavelengths. Like an expert. And we do it maybe through charity, or we do it through talking nicely or convincing them somehow or another. Some people are a little more ready, but just give a donation to help people, or you say something or other. It begins their little progress, the beginning of their progress. If they give 1 cent, their spiritual life begins. Prabhupada said, even if they touch the book, their spiritual life's begun. Even if they read 1 word from the book, you. First word I saw. Some benefit is there, Even if they see the book, Prabhupada said they get some benefit. Even if they see a devotee, there's some kind of devotee, depending how advanced we are, they get some benefit. And even if they hear the name Krishna, if it doesn't mean anything more than potatoes, eggs, and whatever it is, it doesn't mean anything to them. Still, that sound has a little tiny penetration is there in their consciousness, something. That's why going into the public and preaching, or preaching in different ways online, whatever it is so important. Nowadays, people reach people, millions of people, through internet and different things. So that's also an incredible opportunity. We should look at it positively, those who are that way inclined, to reach out to people all over the world. And practically everyone in the world has heard the name Krishna, I think, even in remote places now. So something is there. The movement has spread everywhere, practically. In every town and village, my holy name shall be heard and chanted. So, practically speaking, I don't know, but in many towns and villages, not most, maybe not, but in so many towns and villages, the holy name has been heard. Maybe all, I don't know, on the line, on the television, somewhere or another, through some source or another. It's going on, but it just takes time before that effective, change takes place. Step by step by step. So we don't even know how to engage ourselves properly, what to speak of others. We just try to engage them in acts of devotion, whatever we can. We've got limited things we can do, wash the pots, clean the floor. You're not ready to worship the deities, so you can't do that. You're not ready to go out and preach, you can't do that. You can join us on Harinam if you want. Just do some cleaning, painting, fantastic, so be it. Whatever your talent is, it's just like now. I was thinking this morning when I went to take my shower, those who are living in the ashram can take this into account. I went in the bathroom, I thought, if I had the tools, I'd have this bathroom taken apart this morning and fix it. It's common sense, plumbers. Unfortunately, whoever made the bathroom didn't make it in a way which is easy to fix. It's a Mickey Mouse job, as we call it in English. There's no ball to take out. The whole damn thing is blocked. But a plumber could do, if they're actually a plumber, they could fix it within 20, 30 minutes. Just have to get in there with your tools, undo the pipes. But it depends where it's blocked. You have to find out where it's blocked, but it could be anywhere down the pipe, but it's blocked. And there's nothing there to release. They have to have a release ball to catch it so it doesn't go into the pipe, but there isn't no release ball. I took the panel off to have a look and see, but there's nothing in there. It's just the pipe goes down with it. Maybe there's something you can take out, but that won't necessarily do anything. It'd be lucky if it does. It needs to be fixed. It'll get worse and worse and worse until you can't use it at all. The water will flow all over the floor. You know what I mean? You've seen?
Yes.
Yeah. But for a real plumber, it's not a big job. But some guy doesn't know. All they're interested is money, and comes and they don't really know. The guy who made it, the guy who fixes it, they're not always so expert. But someone who's expert should be able to fix it. I think Akshayananda could probably fix it. He's quite good at these things. Otherwise it's going to be a big job. You're going to have to rip the whole damn thing apart. It may already be blocked too far down. But little things like that. Engaging people according to their propensity. Plumbing is what does 1 and plus 1 equal?
2.
Oh, pretty good. Plumbing is like that. It's just plain common sense. But I think one famous philosopher said the rarest, it's common sense, but the rarest thing in this world, the least common thing in this world is sense. At least, something like that, he said. The most rare thing in this world is common sense. It's the least common thing. You think the water goes down there, it goes out there, it's blocked somewhere between there and there. Coming there, it goes out there, it's blocked somewhere between there and there. Coming down there and it goes out there, it's blocked somewhere between there and there. If I take that off there, in between, the block is between there and there. It's not down there, and it's not up there. It's between there and there. kind of common sense, really. But, yeah. They'll take the whole thing and say, I'm sorry, we're going to have to replace the whole bathroom. I was in a house in Minneapolis about 20 years ago. I'll never forget that. They're a completely impractical couple, this Indian couple there. You know, they can't even, anything that goes wrong. It's just like upstairs in the flush. You've got to turn the tap off and on every time you want to flush because no one worked out how to fix the flush. I was trying to wonder what's going wrong with this flush, then I found that the tap was off, so I turned the tap on and the water starts flowing again, and then you have to turn it off as soon as you flush it. Otherwise the whole thing flushes out into the, it doesn't stop flushing, You lose your water all day long. It's just all common sense stuff, you just have to know how it works, that's all. Fix it. Anyone who's had 1 hour of plumbing knowledge would be to fix it in 1 minute. But others would take years and they still can't fix it, Putting bits of wire here and strings here, and so it doesn't work. Like that, it's like ridiculous, the whole thing. Anyway, I was in this house in Minneapolis, and there was just some block in the drain. That's all it was, underneath, The guy came round, they spent $750 on the guy replacing the ball. That's all he did. He knew that thing underneath the pipe. He just replaced that. $750 he charged.
He must be rich, the plumber.
Huh?
He must be rich, the plumber.
Plumbers are some of the highest paid people on the planet. You won't believe how much plumbers are. It's so expensive. They're so highly paid, plumbers. Incredible. If you want a good job, go for a plumber. You get some money for the temple, become a plumber. Tell your parents I'm studying plumbing. And become a plumber. It's good pay. I heard it was, but then it was really good pay. Really good. And you've got to go through like masses of stuff to become a registered plumber. It's not easy to become a registered plumber. Although it's so common sense, it's unreal. Anyway, what to do is it's all mundane. Cheating and cheated. You've got to know the secret of how to remove the blockages, Spiritual life, the same thing. You spend all your time trying to remove the block, but actually the block's over there, not over there. Knowing where your blocks are on spiritual life, to move forward. Otherwise you get constipated and you wonder why you're not making any progress. You're just not making any spiritual progress at all, practically. Tap's on, full steam, but you're not going anywhere. Right? Still attached to, this thing and that thing. Because the pipe's blocked. Get rid of the blockages. It's not just about turning on the tap. Sometimes it's more important to work on the blockages than it is on turning the tap on. So Varnashram system is there, and so many things are there to help the living entities to progress stage by stage. And in our Kali Yuga, it's just chanting Hare Krishna. And this is, of course, that's a great thing. It can remove both the blockages as well as awaken the actual flow of devotion. But it takes intensive association and so on. At the same time, understanding, we can drive each other away. I mean, I remember one time, and millions of examples have come up, but just remember one time I was in Penang, and we started this little Chinese preaching program there maybe 30 years ago or something. And Chinese people were coming around, and one Indian devotee came. We weren't overly encouraging them to come because Indian devotees have a certain, you do this, you don't do that type of mentality. This is the way we do it. And the first thing, an elderly Chinese lady enthusiastically wants to come and help chop the vegetables, for the lunch. And one of the Indian devotees, no, you can't come in here, you're not a Brahmin. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. You can't come in here because you are a Brahmin, please go out. You've got to know the situation. This is niyama agraha. No idea what the purpose behind this is. Now, most of Prabhupada's godbrothers were a little bit like that. They didn't like Prabhupada, was able to engage people who were drug addicts, and they were drug addicts, and still drug addicts, making wrath cars and so on and so forth. Prabhupada said, please don't put your cigarette packet on top of the wrath car, put it to the side, Jamuna, when you smoke your cigarette, please wash your hands before you come back into the kitchen. That's a preacher. Not someone who says, no, you can't come here because you're smoking and this and that. Time, place, and circumstance are one of the challenges when you have, installed deities is expected to be high standard, but that's not every situation the same. Not every situation. That's why temples, especially in countries like France, with deities, how many people are on that level? How many French people are worshipping the deities to that standard? How many? Very few, right? Very difficult, and it's like a little bit, but not like all the time, this is it, my life and soul surrendered. Not many. Not many. Different. So many things you could go on and on. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.